$116 to $107. The Warriors, it's the worst loss of the season, in my opinion.
It's time for Warriors Wrap-Up. We'll bring you into the locker room and hear from Coach Kerr and the players. Highlights from the game. Warriors Wrap-Up starts now.
The Memphis Grizzlies tonight. We're playing without Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, Derrick Rose, Brandon Clark, and Steven Adams. And they beat the Golden State Warriors, which featured Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, among others. Final score 116 to 107. And as you heard Tim Roy say just a moment ago, as he signed off earlier today on 95.7 The Game, the worst loss of the Warriors season. And there are a ton to choose from. It's almost becoming a weekly thing now for the Warriors. A new addition to the worst loss of the season conversation. I mean, I can just think off the top of my head, like there's 7 losses that can qualify for worst loss of the season. The Warriors are no stranger to losing games that you feel like they shouldn't. This one, it was competitive for most of the game, and then Memphis pulled away late. But considering the talent that are on these two teams, the talent you had available in these two games, there is no reality, there is no world in which the Warriors should lose this game. Again, the Memphis Grizzlies, without Ja Morant, without Desmond Bane, without Marcus Smart, without Derrick Rose, without Brandon Clark, without Steven Adams. Jaren Jackson Jr. was questionable all day. He played and for the most part was pretty bad. Could not make a shot from the field. Survived because he got to the free throw line. But no problem for the Memphis Grizzlies. They outscore the Warriors by 9. They win 116 to 107. They trot out Vince Williams Jr. They trot out Santi Aldama. They trot out David Roddy. They trot out G.G. Jackson. They trot out Jacob Gilyard. And they beat the Warriors. Final score 116 to 107. Welcome into Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. We've got a lot to react to, and almost none of it is good for the Golden State Warriors. I want to hear from you guys tonight on this Monday evening, on this MLK Jr. Day. The Warriors were disappointing. What did you think of this Warriors loss? Is it the most... disappointing, frustrating? Is it the worst loss of the season? What are the other candidates? Give me a call, 888-957-9570. That's also the Comcast Business text line. Again, 888-957-9570. And I'm currently looking at our YouTube chat powered by First NorCal Credit Union, youtube.com/957thegame. I see you guys all, Alex, Sab, Carson, Clank Thompson, I see on the YouTube chat, Vegas, a couple of others, Carson, I see you guys all. Keep the chats coming. Shout out to the 415, the 510, the 925 on the Comcast Business text line as well. Let's just go off the top of my head, worst losses of the season for the Golden State Warriors before we dig into what happened tonight in Memphis. The 2 losses against Oklahoma City, where one time you didn't foul Chet Holmgren when you were up 3 in the final seconds. He made a 3. You lost in overtime. The other Oklahoma City game where you did foul Chet Holmgren in the final seconds up by 3, but you fouled him in the act of the shooting, goes to overtime. You lose that game. Those are both up there. The game where you led Sacramento in Sacramento by like 24 points late in the first half, you ultimately lose that game. 2 games later, you were up by 20 in the second half in LA against the Clippers. You lose that game. You had the Denver game at home where you led by 18 points with like 6:45 to go in regulation. You lose that game. And then you had Toronto and New Orleans fresh in our minds from just the last homestand, along with that Denver loss, where you just get absolutely run out of the gym against a couple of teams you feel like at the very least you should be competitive with. So add this one to the list. And according to Tim Roy, according to a lot of you guys on the YouTube chat, I'm seeing it as well on the Comcast Business text line, I think this one takes the cake for worst loss of the season because, again, you weren't going up against Ja Morant. You weren't going up against Desmond Bane. Marcus Smart out. Derrick Rose out. The big men for Memphis out, other than Jaren Jackson Jr., who played, and he ended up putting together a decent line. I mean, he had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, but he was 4 for 20 from the field. The 7-footer, 4 for 20 from the field, 3 of 14 from downtown. And you lose to Vince Williams Jr., 24 points and 7 rebounds and 4 assists. He was 3 of 6 from downtown. G.G. Jackson off the bench had a career day. He had 23 points off the bench. He was a plus 23 in 29 minutes. He made 5 3-pointers. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to some of these players. G.G. Jackson, he had made, I think, 5 3-pointers in his NBA career. I think actually 4 3-pointers in his NBA career before tonight. He made 5 tonight. Like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to G.G. Jackson and to Jacob Gilyard and to David Roddy. These are nobodies in the NBA. If Memphis was even close to healthy, these guys are not playing other than in garbage time. This is an embarrassing loss for the Warriors, and they just continue to stack up. I mean, the crowd was like, it was like 2/3 of the way full in Memphis, if that. On a holiday Monday in Memphis, a very special holiday, of course, for everyone, but specifically for Memphis. And there's no one there because they realize that this is probably going to be a 20-point Warriors win, and the Warriors somehow find a way to lose by 9, 116-107. To a bunch of guys who grew up watching Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green win championships. And maybe it's just the reality now for the Warriors. But to have this performance after it felt like he had a little bit of positive momentum, you get Draymond Green back, and Draymond was effective. I mean, he came in and immediately the Warriors go on an 11-3 run in his first 6 minutes. The Warriors were +8 in his 6 minutes to begin. He did not start. He came off the bench, checked in with 6 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the first quarter, played that entire 6:10 to close the quarter. The Warriors outscored the Grizzlies 11-3 in that stretch. The Warriors were a +8 in Draymond Green's first stint, and he was effective. Draymond Green was not the reason that the Warriors lost this game, but I think what's even more frightening for the Golden State Warriors is they weren't great today. I'm not saying that. They obviously were not at their best. They did not have their best game, but it's not like they played particularly terrible or well worse than they've put on tape at times in the past. Like, this is kind of just who the Warriors have become. I mean, Klay Thompson was really, really bad tonight. Klay Thompson was really bad tonight, and I think you could say that basically from start to finish. He only got up 10 shots, but he was a -22 in 34 minutes, 9 points, 4 of 10 from the field, 1 of 4 from downtown. You had some positive moments from others. Stephen Curry kind of carried you in the middle half of this game. Second quarter and third quarter was really the only reason you were still in it or holding on to a narrow lead. I thought Andrew Wiggins was fine today. He had 16 points, 7 of 13 from the field. You have some other individual positive moments, but it's not like the Warriors just were absolutely terrible today. They played all right, but they just couldn't, like, it would be almost easier. Let's see if I can explain this a little bit better. It would be a little bit easier to understand this loss if you just were like, all right, Curry was 1 of 12 from the field, made 1 3-pointer. Klay couldn't hit a shot. Wiggins was like he was in Milwaukee. He couldn't hit a shot. It was a rare off day for Jonathan Kuminga and all in all. Like, if everyone just played poorly, you're like, all right, like, it's still not a good loss, and I'm not trying to say it would be a good loss. But if everyone just had a terrible game and you just simply couldn't make a shot and it was bad and yada, 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 like, it would be a little easier to understand. The Warriors individually didn't play all that bad. Now, they had some bad moments and some terrible moments. But, I mean, Stephen Curry put up 26 points. Wiggins, 16. Dario Saric had 13. Kuminga had 20 off the bench, his third consecutive 20-point game. Like, there were some, honestly, moments where the Warriors were actually like, and we're playing poor. It's just, they could not manage to pull away from this Memphis team featuring, again, players like Vince Williams Jr., Santi Aldama, David Roddy, G.G. Jackson, Jacob Gilyard. The Warriors just weren't, maybe they're just not good enough anymore. It's the way it felt tonight. It was really ugly. All right, give me a call, 888-957-9570. That's the Comcast Business text line as well, 888-957-9570. So Draymond Green returns. He missed 16 games, 12 games due to a suspension, and then missed 4 as he ramped up and got ready for NBA action once again. He did not start. The Golden State Warriors went with a relatively familiar starting lineup. They ran with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Dario Saric, and Kevon Looney. And the Warriors, it was kind of stop and go early. There was an 8-0 Memphis run in the first quarter at one point. Then the Warriors kind of found their footing. Draymond Green came in. The Warriors immediately went on a big push, an 11-3 run to close for the Golden State Warriors in that second quarter. Or in that first quarter, They take a 6-point lead into the second quarter. You had some nice Jonathan Kuminga moments, Brandon Pajemski effective at times, and the game just kind of hangs in the balance for much of the second quarter. Steve Kerr experimenting with a lot of interesting lineups now that he has Draymond Green back. You saw some Jonathan Kuminga at the 3. Interestingly enough, we haven't seen Jonathan Kuminga at the 3 really all season long. He got in some minutes at the 3 in the third quarter. It seems like the reason why Steve Kerr did that was because Draymond Green is back, and he feels like the Warriors can get away with Kuminga at the 3 when he's playing alongside Draymond Green. And the Warriors, it wasn't good, and you never really felt comfortable in this game. There were a number of turnovers, and you kept fouling the Grizzlies. But the Warriors at one point in the third quarter, they went on a 7-0 run. They built a 7-point lead with 1:42 left in the third quarter. The Warriors go up 86-79 with 1:42 left in the third quarter. Memphis, they immediately answer with a 6-0 run to close the quarter. So it's a 1-point game going into the fourth, and then they just dominate the first few minutes of the fourth. They ultimately go up 100-94 with 8:45 left. Then they hit another couple of threes. They go up by 10 with just over 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So if we're just to span the third and fourth quarters, after the Warriors went up 86-79, and then Memphis went up 106-96, the Grizzlies outscored the Warriors 27-10 over a 6.5-minute span, spanning the third and fourth quarters. A 27-10 run. And it was the Memphis Grizzlies making 3-pointers. Luke Kennard, as I mentioned earlier, a couple of the guys that you might not have heard of before tonight in G.G. Jackson, along with Vince Williams Jr. Those were the Grizzlies' 2 high scorers. Vince Williams Jr. had 24 points. G.G. Jackson had 23 points. They hit a combined 8 3-pointers in this game. And then it just was the similar story for the Warriors as we've heard all season. Turnovers, and these were bad turnovers, late third, early fourth quarter, live ball turnovers. They actually came off of some stops. You would get some stops defensively once you got down by 10. You got some stops. Maybe Memphis just would miss a couple of shots, some shots they were hitting earlier, and then you try to push out in transition and just careless pass, bad decision after bad decision after bad pass. And live ball turnovers that result in Memphis buckets the other way, or they put a strain on your defense and you have to resort to fouling and you make them make their free throws, which they did for the most part tonight. It was the story for the Warriors, and what cost them late, the turnovers and the fouls, it's been costing them all season. And the fact that the same issues are plaguing the Warriors at this point of the season, now the Warriors are 18-22, we're 40 games in. The Warriors, when they play on Wednesday to close this road trip in Utah, that's the official halfway point of this regular season. You are essentially halfway through the regular season, and the same issues that were hurting you early in the year are hurting you now. We're going to hear from Steve Kerr about this game tonight coming up in just a little bit. I'll get that to you. We'll hit some calls first. Grant and James, I'm coming to you in a minute. But the fact that the issues that hurt the Warriors the first week of the season are hurting them at the midway point, at some point you just got to ask the question, is this just who they are? Because it kind of seems like they are. All right, over to the phone lines we go. Give me a call on Warriors Wrap-Up, 888-957-9570. The Warriors fall to the short-handed Grizzlies, and short-handed doesn't really do it justice. Again, John Morant, Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, Derrick Rose, Brandon Clark, Steven Adams, all out tonight for Memphis, and the Warriors fall 116-107. Up first is Grant in San Francisco. Grant, what's up? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up with Mark Randy here on 95.7 The Game. How you doing?
Oh, my goodness. I don't believe that all the Memphis roster was injured. I think they were just getting out of the way because they knew when Dre, Clay, and Steph was in there, they were going to run them all out of the building. So they basically put up a sacrificial lamb, and basically the sacrificial lamb came and kicked the Lions' butt. I mean, it is crazy. Who did they have out there? Some maybe second-round draft picks, some G-Leaguers, and a contest winner, and they beat the Warriors. I mean, it was ridiculous. The Warriors are truly, truly, truly awful, and I don't know why. Are they tanking? Who are they hoping to draft? It doesn't make sense anymore. I think they're just really just tired of the whole process, and I look forward to their retirement.
Wow. Grant, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, this kind of felt like the opposite of what happened on Saturday when the Warriors went into Milwaukee, a really good Milwaukee team with Giannis and Dame and Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton, right? And the Warriors decide to rest Steph Curry. And most likely, Steph Curry definitely needed a rest. Steve Kerr said that he was just simply worn out. And I believe it's the first game Steph has rested all season, just the third game that he missed. But it also was kind of the perfect time for it, right? You're off of a back-to-back. You just picked up a nice win in Chicago. You didn't necessarily already write this Milwaukee game down as an L, but it's the most likely scenario. So why not rest our most important and like our oldest player and, just kind of wave the white flag on that game and then gear up for Memphis and Utah? That was, Steve Kerr would never admit to that, I don't think, but that was kind of, reading between the lines, right? Like that was the plan for the Golden State Warriors. And to our caller's point, I'm not sure that that's what's going on with Memphis. In fact, I know it's not because these are serious injuries for the Grizzlies. John Morant is out for the season. He underwent shoulder surgery last week. Desmond Bane, a grade 3 ankle sprain, out for at least 6 weeks. Marcus Smart has what the Grizzlies are calling a severe finger injury. He's out for at least 6 weeks. Derrick Rose is nearing a return. Brandon Clark tore his Achilles last March. He's working his way back. Steven Adams has had this recurring knee injury for years now. He has not played all season. So these are not minor injuries that the Grizzlies said, you know what, we're going to hold them off for this game. We'll get them back next time just because we know the Warriors are going to be fired up and they're going to come in and win. But coming into this game, it kind of felt like, all right, like this could be a game the Warriors don't need to play their best and they'll still get a win. And it kind of felt like they sleptwalked through a few quarters like the Bucks did on Saturday against the Warriors. The difference was the Bucks turned it on in the fourth quarter against the Warriors, and they ultimately run away with that game late. Meanwhile, the Warriors today just could not turn it on in the fourth quarter. It was the Grizzlies with a bunch of nobodies who turned it on in the fourth quarter. I mean, for those of you wondering who these guys are, Vince Williams Jr., who scored for the Memphis Grizzlies 24 points, 6 of 11 from the field, 3 of 6 from downtown, 7 rebounds and 4 assists. second-round pick in 2022 out of Virginia Commonwealth University, the 47th overall pick in 2022. He's a 23-year-old guard, and he lit up the Warriors for 24 points tonight. What about G.G. Jackson? He's a second-round pick out of South Carolina this past year, so he's in his first year in the league, second-round pick, 45th overall pick from South Carolina. His averages entering tonight, 4.6 points per game, 2 rebounds per game, and 0.3 assists per game. Tonight, G.G. Jackson, 23 points. He had 6 rebounds and an assist, 6 of 9 from the field, and 5 of 8 from downtown. What about Jacob Gilyard, an undrafted free agent out of Richmond playing in his first year in the NBA? Averages just under 4 points per game, a rebound, and 3.5 assists per game. He made 3 threes off the bench, had 11 points, 4 of 7 from the field, a couple of rebounds, 3 assists, a couple of steals. He picked Steph Curry's pocket once, got an easy fast break bucket for the Memphis Grizzlies. It was guys who, are young, who have not played much in the NBA, not high draft picks. One of them, as I mentioned, Gilyard, undrafted, and they managed to beat the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry, with Klay Thompson, with Draymond Green, with a number of others, Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Pajemski and Trace Jackson-Davis and Dario Saric and Kevon Looney. And you got beat for the most part by a team that was not expecting to win this game tonight. And that's where the Warriors season is at right now. You absolutely need to win this game. You're not in a position, we're now 40 games in. The Warriors are not in a position where you can allow opportunities like this to slip through your fingers. The Warriors could very well figure things out to a certain degree and get into a play-in spot, right? They very well could. I'm not putting that past them. Now, it doesn't, performances like this aren't necessarily, confidence inspiring, but the Warriors certainly, they have the track record and their resume and what they've accomplished. I'm not putting it past them. But a loss like this could be the difference in being the 10 and needing to win 2 games and potentially being, the 8 and maybe only needing to win 1 in the play-in to get to the actual playoffs. The Warriors are in no position to drop a game like this, and they did. They lose to Memphis in Memphis, 116-107. All right, back to the phone lines here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Up next is James in Mountain View. James, what's up? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up with Mark Randy. How you doing tonight?
Great. Full disclosure, I didn't watch the game. I can't watch the game anymore because they're so bad, and just one more on top of that. But I am hearing that everybody's on deck for trades except for Curry, and I'm wondering why Joe Lacob wouldn't consider trading Curry for the future, since right now he's worth a lot. And it's really, really sad to watch him sit on this Warriors team and just lose. Like, are we going to watch him just languish there for the next few years, or release him, get picks, and let him go win another ring? Like, let's clear the decks and build for the future, because we're just not going to win another championship with this crew. So that's my take, and it's very unpopular. I know it is.
Yeah, thanks for the call, James. I would just say, if you're talking purely from a basketball perspective and with an eye on the future, and if you're giving up hope that this era of Warriors basketball isn't going to do anything, then maybe the right basketball decision, purely basketball decision, take the emotions out of it, maybe it is to consider trading Stephen Curry. But the fact of the matter is that this is an emotional decision, and it's not like Stephen Curry just has this year left. There's a reality where he's still a very good player a year, 2 years from now, when he still has his contract with the Warriors, his current contract, and he helps you get into the playoffs, win a playoff round or 2. Who knows? Who knows what the franchise around him will look like at that point? But I would just say reason number one is the emotions that you have tied to Stephen Curry. And the report was last week, Shams Charania of The Athletic, saying everyone except for Stephen Curry is on the trade block. And a game like today does not change that. I think it only, adds, it stokes the fire, right? Stokes the flames. And that drama, that discussion only grows louder and louder and louder as the Warriors try to push forward with this season, which now sees them sitting at 18-22. And we could take a look at the standings, although it's probably just going to depress you a little bit more. The Warriors with this loss today, again, now 18-22 on the season. The Warriors are, 12th place in the Western Conference. They're a game behind the Lakers for 11th. They are a game and a half behind the Rockets for 10th in that final play-in spot. Game and a half out of 10th, which is the final play-in spot. If you're looking for the 6th seed, which is the final normal postseason spot in the NBA nowadays, the Warriors are 5.5 games behind the Dallas Mavericks for that spot. Technically, the Kings, Mavericks, and Pelicans all tied for the 5th spot. So 5th, 6th, and 7th, all 5 games behind Minnesota for first. The Warriors are 5.5 behind that trio, the Kings, the Mavericks, and the Pelicans. Which I think just speaks to the fact that the West is so clumped together. You go on a run, just a little run here and there, you could get yourself back into the thick of fighting for a spot around that area. But you got to take care of the gimmies. Tonight was a gimme, and you did not take it. Memphis took it from you, 116-107. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll take a couple more your calls. Big Smooth and Will, I see you. We'll get you on the other side. Also, we will hear from Steve Kerr after another disappointing Warriors loss. That's coming up on the other side as Warriors wrap-up continues. It's Mark Randy with you on 95.7 The Game. More next after this.
Golden State is in trouble. Timeout. It's a 10-point lead for the Grizz. The first 10-point lead of the game. And a lackluster effort here on a late Monday afternoon start could turn into a disastrous loss.
Now back to Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
And that was Tim Roy. Could be disastrous for the Warriors. It was disastrous. A 10-point lead in the fourth. It turned into a 9-point Memphis lead, 116-107. And that highlight you heard, a Warriors turnover leading to a Memphis three-pointer. It was kind of the story of the game. The Golden State Warriors absolutely dominated Memphis in the paint. 62 points in the paint in this game tonight for the Warriors to just 20 for Memphis. The Warriors a plus 42 in the paint tonight, but you commit 19 turnovers. It leads to 30 points off of turnovers for the Memphis Grizzlies. And then you look at some of the shooting numbers. Memphis, they made 23 pointers. The Warriors made just 10. So Memphis plus 30 points from the three-point line. The Warriors 30 points off of threes. The Grizzlies 60 points off of threes. So they double up the Warriors there. And then you look at the free throw line. The Memphis Grizzlies 32 for 40 from the free throw line. The Warriors 9 for 10. And Memphis, they're the fourth team in NBA history to take at least 50 threes and 40 free throws in a game. I don't think the officiating was necessarily that bad tonight. Like, I don't really think so. It's just more of a case of the Warriors not knowing how to defend without fouling. But a game where one team scores 62 points in the paint, the other scores 20. The one that scored 20 took 54 threes, and they outshoot the other by 30? That box score doesn't really add up. And again, I'm not coming on here and yelling at the officiating. I don't think they were terrible by any stretch. The Warriors did not lose this game because of the officiating. I'm not saying any of that. But it's crazy. The Warriors scored 62 points in the paint, and they only got to the free throw line 10 times. The Memphis Grizzlies scored 20 points in the paint and took 54 three-pointers, and they got to the free throw line 40 times. The Warriors, untimely turnovers, and fouling Memphis is the reason that they lost. And you can credit Memphis for making three-pointers. I know if you're listening to the NBC Sports Bay Area broadcast, you hear Fitz and Buki talking about Memphis is just making tough threes. This is not a good three-point shooting team. They're making it. It's unlucky, right? How many times are the Warriors just leaving wide-open shooters? And the wrong wide-open shooters. Luke Kennard led the NBA in three-point shooting, percentage-wise, for a couple of years in a row now. And Vince Williams Jr. and G.G. Jackson, like these aren't guys that you know that much of. But last time out, Vince Williams Jr., he scored 17 points, made a few threes. Like, you got to know who are the three-point shooters on the floor. Even if you don't know who the guy is, you don't know what his name is, you say, oh, whatever his number is, Vince Williams Jr., I saw the tape. We watched a little bit of him from last game. He made a couple of threes. I got to get out there on him. You certainly know who Luke Kennard is. You got to know that he's a shooter. Make him dribble. And time again, the Warriors is giving up open three after open three. You heard it like 5 times. If you were listening to 95.7 The Game today during the game, Tim Roy, KYP, know your personnel. And the Warriors did not know their personnel tonight, and it cost them. They allow Memphis to hit 20 three-pointers. And yes, some of that is Memphis having a night. Some of it. But the Warriors did a very bad job defending this Memphis team, and that's becoming a story. It's becoming a theme now for the Warriors this season. All right, as promised, back out to the phone lines, and then we will hear from Steve Kerr, who has talked to the media after this Warriors loss. Final score 116-107. Up next is Big Smooth in Oakland. Big Smooth is concerned. Big Smooth, I agree with you. What's up? How you feeling? You're on Warriors Wrap Up. Big Smooth, you there? Going once. Going twice. All right, see you later, Big Smooth. He said he was concerned. That's what I got from Sterling across the glass. I would agree, Big Smooth. There is plenty to be concerned about if you're the Golden State Warriors. You lose to Memphis. Again, if you're just joining us, the Grizzlies without John Morant, without Desmond Bane, without Marcus Smart, without Derrick Rose, without Brandon Clark, without Steven Adams. Yes. Bad. 116-107, Memphis still earns the victory. And the Warriors, it's not, again, I said this a little bit earlier, it would be almost easier to understand if you were just like, all right, like the Warriors played their worst game of the season. They could not hit a shot for whatever reason. They had their worst performance. There were a number of fine individual games. Like Stephen Curry was really good in the second and third quarters specifically. He finished with 26 points. He had 4 rebounds and 8 assists. Now, he did turn the ball over 5 times, and those were costly turnovers. But the number of times he would drive past whoever it was in front of him, a big reason why the Warriors had 62 points in the paint was because he was getting everything he wanted in the paint. He was good in this game. I thought Andrew Wiggins had a decent bounce-back performance after he wasn't very good in Milwaukee on Saturday. He had 16 points. There wasn't a ton of like just abysmal individual performances that you can point to, and yet the Warriors still lost to a Memphis team trotting out guys that most of you haven't heard of before. And that's not a shot at you. It's just these are second-round picks who sit on the end of the bench, who are two-way players, who are undrafted. Like, these guys are unknowns across the NBA. Casual fans don't know a lot of these players, and big-time, NBA fans don't know most of these players. And the Warriors lost to them on the day that Draymond Green returns from a 16-game absence. And Draymond Green had a positive impact. He was positive. He was a +1. Lester Quinones and Draymond Green, the only Warriors in the positive. Draymond and Quinones, both a +1. Everyone else was in the negative. Klay Thompson was a -22. Or pardon me, Wiggins was actually +9. I missed that. Andrew Wiggins a +9. I thought Andrew Wiggins was fine in this game. But again, it would just be easier to understand and easier to come to terms with the loss. Not that it would make it any better, but it would be easier, and maybe you just say, it's one of those days, right? It would be easier if the team from the starting 5 to everyone on the bench just had a bad game together. That was not the case. The Warriors individually played all right, not great by any stretch. Some had good games, some had bad games, but for the most part, they were all right. And you still lost to this team. The Warriors did not play their best game. They did not play their worst game. They played an all right game, and you still lose. Like, that is concerning, to our caller's point, who wasn't there. But that is concerning. That's big time concerning. It would be way less concerning if, again, you just had a terrible game and you lost. The Warriors did not have a terrible game, but they still lost, and that makes the loss that much worse. All right, Warriors wrap-up continues here on 95.7 The Game. Let's go out to Memphis. Steve Kerr has talked to the media about a 4.5-minute chunk of Steve Kerr's post-game presser. You'll hear it right now. Here is Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr after the Warriors lose in Memphis, 116-107. Here's Coach Kerr.
Well, we played very poorly defensively, but a lot of that had to do with our offense. 19 turnovers that turned into 30 points, and their game plan was pretty simple. Shoot as many threes as possible and get into transition as often as possible, and then for us to foul 25 times to their 12, that's the story. And they were. They just played a really clean game. They took care of the ball. They didn't foul. And we were reaching. Steph got several early fouls. We were turning the ball over left and right. And, they gained belief as they went. All these guys are in the NBA, and we tell them that before every game like this. These guys are in the NBA for a reason. They're really good players, So they can all shoot. And they lit it up from 3 tonight, and that was their formula. They knew they had to do that, and we knew they had to do that. So we didn't play the game that could keep them from doing that. The turnovers and the fouls, all those free points they got, that was the difference in the game.
You spoke a little bit pre-game about kind of, as you were alluding to as well, you have 5 of their 6 best players out, kind of look over them even with passing. Do you think that was an issue mentally?
it doesn't matter whether it was or not. I mean, we talk about that before the game. That's the first thing we say in the scouting report. We've lost 4 games like this in the last 2 years, where the other team is missing, 3-4 starters, whatever it is. So you get their attention by saying that and try to get their guard up. And unfortunately, I thought we played fine in the first quarter for the most part, but to me, the mid-second quarter, we had several moments to get a couple stops in a row, get the lead to 8 or 10, get control of the game, and we just threw the ball away. And so we did not have the intent or the focus to win that game.
What do you think of how Draymond did?
I'm sorry?
What do you think about how Draymond did re-entering into this?
Draymond played well. He played hard. It's good to have him back. And obviously, as a team, we didn't play well. But, Draymond competed, and good to get him, kind of back in the fold.
Steve, you guys only had, I think, 13 turnovers in the last 2 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seemed like it made a difference, and it seemed like some of them were kind of just careless.
Yeah, careless. They put a lot of pressure on Steph, and you had a couple turnovers in the backcourt, and it just felt like again, like they were putting pressure on us from the start, and instead of being solid, taking care of the ball, and executing, we got careless. We had a 3-on-2, in transition in the second quarter that turned into a 3 the other way. We have to understand where we are as a team, what our record is, where we are in the Western Conference. What that means is we have to be sharp. We have to play a smart, clean game. We can't turn it over. We can't reach. We can't foul. We did all those things.
Had you felt like real strides with the turnovers lately?
Yeah, I believe the last 10 games we're 4th in the league in turnovers, like 12 a game. So, yeah, absolutely, we made huge strides. And so, that was the biggest difference tonight. And it started right away. We had 3 turnovers in the first 3 minutes, and we got scattered and didn't handle their defense well. And I called a quick timeout, and unfortunately, we couldn't get it back together.
You played Draymond center a bunch. I know you're going to mix and match. That's been the story of the season. But as you move forward, are you liking that look with him? Mostly a center.
Draymond's played tons of 5 the last few years, so he'll continue to play plenty of 5. But Loon's a good player, and he's meant so much to us over the years, and he's our best rebounder, and Dario's going to play some 5, obviously with his scoring trace. Has had a nice rookie year and does some good things for us. So the 5 will continue to be manned by multiple people.
That's Steve Kerr post-game in Memphis today after the Warriors fall to the Grizzlies. Final score again, 116-107. I feel like I could take that Steve Kerr presser and replace some of the names, replace Steve Kerr talking about Memphis and the Grizzlies, replace it, or either bleep it out. And I could drop it in on you at any point throughout the season, and you'd have no clue which game it's referring to. Because the Golden State Warriors have been fighting the same battle all season. They cannot take care of the ball, and they cannot defend without fouling. It has happened all season long, and it's gotten to a point where Steve Kerr in press conferences, when asked about the turnovers and the fouls, or just when asked about what went wrong generally speaking, he says, I have said this time and time and time again. It's turnovers and fouling. I don't know how many more times I can say it. I don't know how many more times I can let our guys know that it's an issue and we need to get better. It's not getting better. It hasn't gotten better. The same issue that hurt the Warriors week 1 of the regular season is hurting the Warriors now at the midpoint. The Warriors have played 40 games. They're 1 game away from the official midway point of an 82-game regular season, and they have made no strides at the number 1 and number 2 issues that have hurt them all season long. Turnovers and defending without fouling. They turned the ball over tonight 19 times. It turns into 30 points. for the Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies shot 54 threes tonight, and they got to the line 40 times. It is the fourth time in NBA history that a team has shot 50 or more threes in a single game and taken 40 or more free throws. The same thing that hurt the Warriors the first game of the season is still hurting the Warriors now. And I don't know if it's coaching, I don't know if it's players not willing to improve, to work on it, to think through their decisions. But whatever it is, something drastic has to change. And tonight might be the tipping point. It really might be the tipping point because it's just been ugly performance, ugly performance, ugly performance. Oh, a nice win. And then ugly performance, and ugly performance again. And I don't know what else the Warriors can do at this point. And you begin to wonder how all of this is sitting with Joe Lacob. Joe Lacob, obviously at home when the Warriors got booed at Chase Center against the Raptors and the Pelicans. He's sitting courtside as he always does. Doesn't like that. Hates that. He stormed off the court the second that the buzzer sounded with the Warriors' blowout loss to the Pelicans to close that homestand. Stormed off the court. Got off the floor as quickly as I've ever seen him get off the floor. Obviously, you don't like being booed in your home building. And you are paying a premium on this roster that is now 18-22 overall and has suffered embarrassing loss after embarrassing loss after embarrassing loss. I ran through it at the very beginning. I can make a case like 7 different losses are the Warriors' worst loss of the season. It kind of depends how you want to quantify it. Worst loss, most embarrassing loss, most lopsided loss. There's legitimately 7 games I can point to. A couple of Oklahoma City losses where you led by 3 in the final seconds. One time you fouled, one time you didn't. Sacramento when you led by 24 late in the first half and lost. The Clippers in LA when you led by 20 in the second half and lost. Denver when you led by 18 with 6:45 to go in the fourth quarter and lost. Toronto and New Orleans, the games I was just talking about, where you get blown out of the water on your home floor and your fans rain down boos on you. We talked about Joe Lacob before, but how does Joe Lacob watching this game from home make him feel? And what is he doing when he calls up Mike Dunleavy, whether it's tonight or tomorrow morning, to figure out what the Warriors do going forward? Is this something that pushes Joe Lacob over the edge? I don't know. I see a comment from Sammy G on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957thegame, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Lacob will continue to do this as long as the money keeps pouring in. The money is pouring in, but you boo your home fans, fewer people show up, fans leave early. Fewer people show up, you're no longer able to charge as much for tickets. That's going to hurt your bottom line. And then when you realize everything that Joe Lacob has said about the luxury tax and about how he'd be willing to pay insane, exorbitant penalties to field a winner, he said that, and he would qualify it every time he'd say it. He'd say, I will pay exorbitant amount of money. I will break records with how much I'm paying for our roster as long as we think we have a good chance to win. As long as we're winning. As long as we're competing for championships. They compete for a championship this year? Doesn't seem like it. It does not seem like it. And are the Warriors a Pascal Siakam away from competing for a championship? I don't think so. So what does Joe Lacob advise that Mike Dunleavy and Steve Kerr and everyone else do moving forward? What does he advise? Does he pull the plug on this because he wants to save his cash? And that's well within his right considering everything that he has done and paid to make this run a reality. But he has said when asked about an exorbitant luxury tax bill, he has always qualified by saying as long as we think we're going to win. Are they going to win? Losses like tonight do not make it seem likely for the Golden State Warriors. They lose to Memphis 116-107. Memphis entering this game tonight, they were 3-15 at home. 3-15 at home, and that includes games where they were not missing like all of their starting lineup, other than Jaren Jackson Jr. They were 3-15 at home. We talk about, fans showing up to games. The Warriors are on the verge of 500 consecutive sellouts spanning Oracle Arena and Chase Center. The arena in Memphis was like halfway full, 2/3 of the way full. And they actually got loud in the fourth quarter. It was a rowdy bunch late because they realized that their team was on the verge of pulling off a crazy upset. And it's probably going to go down as Memphis's most fun win of the season because there's not going to be many more considering all the injuries they have. Worst loss of the season for the Golden State Warriors. Bad for the Warriors. They lose again, 116-107 to the Memphis Grizzlies. It was an okay performance for a number of Warriors. I thought Jonathan Kuminga off the bench was good. He had 20 points, 9 of 18 from the field. He had 11 rebounds as well. He did turn the ball over 3 times. There were a couple of moments where you kind of got the old Jonathan Kuminga where he just put his head down and dribbled into trouble and turned the ball over, and a couple of those led to dunks and 3-pointers the other way for Memphis. But third consecutive 20-plus point performance for Jonathan Kuminga. He's coming off of a career high that he put up in Milwaukee on Saturday. 3 straight 20-point games. Now that's 20 consecutive double-digit scoring games for Jonathan Kuminga. I still think at times he's settling for the 3 a little bit too much. And this brings me back to what Memphis did offensively. And you heard Steve Kerr talk about it just a little bit ago. And I mentioned this earlier. If you were listening on the radio to the game, Tim Roy said it time and time again, KYP, know your personnel. Memphis is begging Jonathan Kuminga to take threes because they watched the tape. They've seen what Jonathan Kuminga has done when he gets to the paint, when he posts up a smaller defender, when he brings a larger defender to the perimeter and then drives around him. So they're just not bringing anyone out to guard him at the three-point line. They are begging him to shoot threes. He was 1 of 5 today. I think he still at times settles a little too early. Now, if you're wide open, especially in the corner, you got to take it. That's a good shot. And Jonathan Kuminga has been making them a little bit better recently, making them at a higher clip. But if you miss your first couple and they leave you open on the right wing or a non-corner 3, Kuminga is a better shooter from the corners than elsewhere, maybe you think about not shooting it and do what you do best, which is get to the paint. I know I'm kind of being a little maybe overly critical of Jonathan Kuminga, considering this is the best stretch of basketball he's played in his NBA career. But I think there's another level that he can reach, and it's not settling on your field goal attempts because he has proven now that he's highly effective inside of like 10 feet. And he's got a nice little fadeaway off a post-up jumper. He's pretty good at that as well. So Kuminga, if there's a message, I think, for Kuminga, it is settle for fewer threes. You got to take the open ones in the corner. But if you miss your first couple, maybe you make a point to ensure that you're getting to the rim and you're getting to the free throw line. Kuminga only 1 free throw tonight. He's been making a lot of money at the free throw line lately. The Warriors as a team, only 10 free throw attempts in this game. They were 9 of 10 from the free throw line. And now the Golden State Warriors, they go on the road to Utah to wrap up this 4-game road trip and try to get back to 500 at 2-2 on this homestand. Or on this road trip, excuse me. I laid out on Warriors Live, the goal should be 3-1. And up to today, it went according to plan. You beat Chicago in Chicago. You lose to Milwaukee in kind of, but not really, wave the white flag game early. No Steph Curry. So you're 1-1 entering the day, and you've got a Memphis team that's playing, their two-way guys, their G Leaguers, and their end-to-bench guys in major minutes. And you feel like this should be a win. It's a loss. Now you're 1-2. Now you go into Utah, a team that is playing really good basketball now. Utah is up to over 500 at 21-20. They are the 9 seed in the Western Conference. And you look at what they've done lately. They're playing right now against the Pacers. I'll get you a score on that game in a moment. But entering tonight, Utah had won 5 games in a row, 8 of their last 9, and they currently lead the Indiana Pacers by 8 points with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. So if that score holds and Utah wins, it'll be their 6th consecutive win and their 9th win in their last 10 games. Utah is hot, and the Golden State Warriors are going into Salt Lake City on Wednesday to close up this 4-game road trip. And if they don't win there, the Warriors would fall to 18-23, and it would be their second consecutive loss, and that would wrap up this road trip with a 1-3 mark. Bad news for the Golden State Warriors. All right, couple minutes left here on Warriors wrap-up. Let's go to extending the three-point line. And for that, we go to one of those relative unknowns. We did not know much about him entering the night, but G.G. Jackson certainly introduced himself to Golden State Warrior fans tonight.
Kennard comes off a screen, gets to the dribble, runs Kuminga through a pick, passes over, G.G. Jackson again, wide open, hits another three. The Warriors are sagging off him, and he's just knocking down open shots. 103-96, Golden State down 7 on the road against a very undermanned team. This would be the worst loss of the year for the Warriors.
G.G. Jackson, 23 points tonight. That was one of 5 three-pointers that he made in this game. Entering the night, G.G. Jackson, a second-round pick this last offseason. He's a rookie. Second-round pick, 45th pick overall out of South Carolina. Entering the night, G.G. Jackson, 4 of 11 from downtown in his NBA career. 4 of 11 in his career, 32 total points, 13 made field goals in his NBA career. Tonight, he scores 23 points, 6 of 9 from the field, 5 of 8 from downtown. He also, G.G. Jackson, did grab 6 rebounds, a couple of steals, a couple of blocks. He was a plus 23 in his 29 minutes, and he gets extending the three-point line. That is G.G. Jackson. He certainly deserved it, and he's a big reason why the Memphis Grizzlies knocked off the Golden State Warriors here tonight. All right, a few more minutes left. We got another call to go to, but first, really quickly, I want to let you know that you are listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ HD, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco, always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Couple minutes left, but we got one more call to get to. This is D in D.C. D, good to hear from you as always. What'd you think of that Warriors loss tonight, D?
Hey, Mark, what's going on, big brother?
I'm doing all right. Just trying to make sense of this weird Warriors game tonight, D.
Listen, man, all year I've been saying Kerr needs better assistants around him to become a better coach. Because I don't give a damn. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean to curse, but I don't care who you bring in as far as players, trades, etc. Until you have a coach on the bench with Kerr to help him see the game, feel the game better than what he's been showing the last 2 years since Brown moved on. We will be wasting our time and wasting a lot of talent, and also wasting Steph and the rest of the team's ability to win games. Kerr needs help. It is about time for the media, especially the San Francisco media, to step up and help Kerr to see the light. Atkinson is not the man. Atkinson does not know defense. We need a better defensive strategist to help the players that are on the roster to be on the right spot, to develop a good scheme to help these players to reach their full potential. It does not make any sense to me that we won a championship about 2 years ago. We were one of the best defensive teams about 2 years ago. For us to lose one coach, Brown, and for the team to be the way it is right now, it does not make any sense. At some point, San Francisco media, the radio station 95.7, they need to stop pointing the finger where the finger needs to be pointed. It's not a player problem. We don't have an issue with the players. Yes, we are too small. We definitely need to get better there. But until we bring in a good strategist, someone who knows defense to help Kerr out, it doesn't matter what you do. We're always going to be in a losing end. I'm going to leave it like that, brother. Have a good night.
Thanks, D. Appreciate you tuning in as always, and always enjoy hearing from you. I don't know about that, D. I mean, I think the Warriors, Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy, I think everything is on the table. All options are open, and they are considering everything. I'm not sure I look at the coaching staff around Steve Kerr as a gigantic issue. Not saying that it couldn't be better. I know there's been a lot of talk about, well, if Steve Kerr can't see all these things, like, why can't any of the 8 assistants that they've got on the bench there, why can't they see anything, and why can't they help this team? I don't know. Maybe they are, and maybe it just comes back to the players. I mean, how many times, we talked about this earlier, the Golden State, the same things that are plaguing the Warriors now have plagued the Warriors all season long. When are they going to adjust? And it's not like Steve Kerr and the coaching staff don't know these things. Like, it would be coaching malpractice if they didn't realize, and we know that they do realize, because it's what they say every time they're asked the questions. Like, they know what is hurting this team, but for whatever reason, off the court, off the game court, in practice, and in what you're seeing when you watch the tape and the messages from the coaching staff to the players, it's just not translating to the court. And maybe it is a communication issue. Maybe the coaching staff has lost touch with the players. I don't know. But at a certain point, you just need your players to not make the terrible passes and the terrible decisions, and to commit reach-in fouls when you've got a guy well defended, and to come over and help on a drive when Kevon Looney has Jaren Jackson Jr. shut down, and Kuminga comes to help, and then guess what? He leaves his man wide open in the corner for a 3. Like, these are simple basketball things that hurt every single night. And I guarantee you, Steve Kerr and Kenny Atkinson and company, they know these things. And they could speak to it, of course, 1,000, 1,000,000 times more than I could. But it's just not working. And again, maybe the miscommunication or the disconnect between what you're seeing and how it's actually playing out on the court, maybe you could point to a communication issue, and maybe that means, you need to rethink or adjust the coaching staff. I mean, a few years ago, the Warriors adjusted their coaching staff. I think it was after the play-in loss, where the Warriors struggled that season, kind of put it together to close the year. It was the James Wiseman year, the James Wiseman rookie year, where he struggled early and then got hurt, and the Warriors kind of started playing better after that, and Steph Curry was in and out, and then the Warriors lost to the Lakers in LA on that LeBron James banked-in 3, and then they lost to the Memphis Grizzlies, these same Memphis Grizzlies, although not really the same Memphis Grizzlies. I don't think anyone who was on that Grizzlies team played tonight. Maybe Xavier Tillman. I don't know if he was on that team. Anyway, a different Grizzlies team, but this Grizzlies franchise, you lose then. And then the Warriors adjusted their coaching staff, and guess what happened? They won the championship the next year. Was the coaching staff the number one factor? Probably not. It was the players playing better, and the Warriors being healthy, and Klay Thompson coming back and playing great, and Andrew Wiggins playing like an all-star, and Draymond Green playing like a DPOY, and Steph Curry playing damn near MVP levels. Like, it probably has more to do with that than the coaching staff. While, D, I do get your point, and I understand where you're coming from. At some point, the players just got to play better. And you've got so much talent on your roster still, yet you can't string wins together. A lot of issues to go around for the Warriors. All right, one final thing to take care of before we do sign off. Appreciate all you guys tuning in here on Warriors Wrap-Up. It is our hardest worker of the game, brought to you by the Alameda County Sheriff's Office, who works hard to serve the community. Are you looking for a career in law enforcement? Learn more about job opportunities at joinacso.com. Considering what happened tonight, a 116-107 win for the Grizzlies, the shorthanded Grizzlies, it would feel wrong to not choose a Grizzly for our hardest worker of the game. And for that, I will go with Vince Williams Jr. 24 points, 6 of 11 from the field, 3 of 6 from downtown, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He had 2 steals and a block. He was really good in this game. Vince Williams Jr., the second-round player out of VCU, the 47th overall pick in 2022 for the Memphis Grizzlies. He had a career night, as a number of Grizzlies did. 24 points for Vince Williams Jr., 6 of 11 from the field, and 3 of 6 from downtown. He is our hardest worker of the game, brought to you by the Alameda County Sheriff's Office. All right, that'll do it for Warriors Wrap-Up here on this Monday evening, on this MLK Junior Day on 95.7 The Game. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. For Sterling Bennett, my name is Mark Randy signing off. We've got you covered all day tomorrow. Well, I'm sure there'll be a ton of reactions to this Warriors game tomorrow on 95.7 The Game, beginning with Joe Spadoni at 5 in the morning with the pregame show. Bonte and Shasky 6 to 10 on the morning roast. Steiny and Goo 10 to 2. Then Willard and Dibbs from 2 to 6. And that's all before Warriors in Utah on Wednesday. We've got you covered on Wednesday for that as well. Tip-off is at 6. Pre-game coverage begins at 5 on Wednesday as the Warriors end their 4-game road trip against the Jazz in Salt Lake City. One final time, the Warriors fall to the Grizzlies tonight, 116-107. Thanks so much for listening to Warriors Wrap-Up right here on 95.7 The Game.
Hi, welcome to IKEA and our winter sale. Hi. We've got hundreds of offers with up to 70% savings across the store.
Wait, did you say 70%?
Yes.
My kids love playing dress up. Can you help us get organized?
Oh, yeah. Check out our offers on dressers and storage.
Oh, what about bath towels?
Yep.
Comforters, pillowcases?
Yes and yes.
I think I need a bigger cart.
Visit IKEA-USA.com/winter sale for details. Offer valid dates may vary. U.S. only while supplies last. Selection may vary by store and online. See store and IKEA-USA.com/winter sale for complete terms. Restrictions apply.
Whether you're driving for distance, pitching for precision,